The 1990s were a bold and experimental phase for British television. Shows like Gladiators were drawing huge Saturday evening audiences, Robot Wars was igniting viewers' imaginations with mechanical mayhem, The Crystal Maze was redefining adventure game shows with its immersive themed zones, and Fort Boyard was delivering high-stakes action in a dramatic, larger-than-life setting. But in January of 1998, ITV took a huge gamble and unveiled a brand new competition game show that attempted to blend futuristic sci-fi theatrics with icy physical combat. The name of the show, Ice Warriors. Set in a frozen otherworldly arena and built around a cast of armored gladiator-style characters, the show pitted teams of challengers against the imposing warriors in a series of winter-themed challenges. Its ambition was undeniable, aiming to capture the spectacle and energy of the era's biggest action game shows, but its short run of only one series meant it quickly slipped into obscurity, becoming one of ITV's most forgotten game shows. In this video, we're going to take a long-awaited deep dive into this fascinating slice of 90s television, exploring how the show came to be, its format, the challenges the competitors had to overcome, the imposing cast of warriors, and what ultimately led to its demise. I've been looking forward to making a video on this show ever since I started this channel, so I really hope you all enjoy. Before we get started, it would mean the world if you could subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. Now settle in for a frosty blast from the past as we take a retrospective look at ITV's long-lost 1998 game show, Ice Warriors. As mentioned in the introduction, the 1990s saw physical challenge entertainment shows become a big ratings draw, with ITV's Gladiators being the most prominent example, regularly pulling in millions of viewers each week. But Gladiators was an American invention, spawning from the original American Gladiators which debuted in 1989, and ITV wanted a similar high-energy homegrown alternative, something with its own identity, its own setting, and a fresh twist. To that end, Julian Grant and Roy Scammell devised Ice Warriors, essentially gladiators on ice, combining athletic competition with the novelty of ice-based challenges. An entire backstory to the show was created, setting it in the distant future when, as stated in the intro to each episode, a new ice age had ravaged the Earth. Entire cities were destroyed, but deep beneath the ice plains, mankind survived. An elite task force called the Ice Warriors had traveled back through time to prepare us mere mortals by means of a tournament, with their task to ensure the survival of mankind. With that kind of lore, the show needed an impressive set to match its ambition, and boy did they deliver on that front. Installed at the Manchester Arena and created by legendary set designer Adam Walmsley, no expense was spared in building one of the most impressive television set designs ever seen, reportedly at a cost in the millions of pounds. Throughout the show, a variety of classical music is used as the show's soundtrack, giving the show a grand, almost operatic tone that reinforced its epic, otherworldly presentation.
And the fellas in hot pursuit here. Ice Warriors have got four very fast warriors out there on the ice.
There is also another theme tune that's played when each challenge is introduced and at the commercial breaks, which is now being used as the theme song for the European Champions Hockey League. It's not known whether or not a pilot episode of the show was ever produced, but in any case, Ice Warriors was commissioned for a first series consisting of 9 episodes and was produced by London Weekend Television. The show aired between January and March of 1998, effectively filling ITV's Saturday night action game show slot after Series 6 of Gladiators finished the previous month. Let's now take a closer look at the show's cast, including all of the Ice Warriors, the show's overall format, and the different challenges our teams of competitors would face. Ice Warriors was presented by Danny Baer, who is perhaps most famous for her presenting role on Channel 4's The Word. Danny reportedly lied to the show's producers to get the job, saying she already knew how to skate when in actual fact she didn't and had to take lessons before filming began.
Hi, I'm Danny Baer and welcome to the future. This is the Ice World, home of Shem Jadir, the Ice Master, and his Ice Warriors.
On commentary was radio DJ Neil Dr. Fox, who has famously said he thought the show was quite random and sometimes couldn't even keep track of what the score was as each challenge progressed. Alongside them was the large cast of Ice Warriors led by the Ice Master Shem Jadir, portrayed by Philip Ferentinos, who according to an article written at the time was apparently a former stockbroker. The Ice Master was essentially the tournament director, announcing the games to be played, calling the teams and the warriors to the ice, and awarding credits to the teams based on their performance. At the beginning of each episode, he would arrive on the ice in quite grand fashion.
We come not to fight, but to excel.
He would frequently appear alongside his Ice Angels, and his booming voice would echo around the arena between each and every game.
I award the City of Nottingham 25 credits.
There was also a character called Schnapps, a goblin who would run around the set and sometimes help demonstrate the challenges. He was only really there for comedic effect though.
Ice Master, how do you feel the tournament's progressing?
Excellent! I am most pleased.
And of course we have the Ice Warriors themselves, of which there were 13, 7 men and 6 women. The vast majority of the Ice Warriors were portrayed by real-life winter athletes, including ice hockey players, speed skaters, and figure skaters. Whenever they were introduced, we would get a little graphic on screen showing us some of their stats, but rather than showing things like height or weight as we would get on gladiators, Ice Warriors would show stats like speed, skill, power, combat, endurance, and even cunning. It did seem like some of these attributes were pulled out of thin air, but it's a nice touch nonetheless. Each warrior's introduction gave us a little bit of background lore to help build the story the show was trying to present. Firstly, the male Ice Warriors, and I'll be quoting the show's descriptions of them directly here. Rax the Destroyer. Many come with dreams of victory, but many found that Rax has destroyed those dreams. Kalak the Drifter. He came from nowhere with his past shrouded in mystery. Dragar the Merciless, always at the heart of the battle. Morka the Fireblade. He came gladly to compete with the best and prove himself their better, as many have found to their cost. Shaurak the Avenger. Cross him at your peril, for he is not lightly called the Avenger. Thorgon the Beast, a creature of the wilderness, a wild man, he battled his way through frozen wastes. And finally, Krell the Tormentor, the warrior that all challengers wish to defeat, an ambition that very few achieve. For the female Ice Warriors, we have Taraz the Renegade, strong, powerful, and with a hunger for victory. Tyrone the Deceiver. Many underestimated her strength and skill, a mistake made by many challengers before they faced her. Raised by beasts of the snow, it's Marax the Vixen. Christor the Enchantress, her ability to bewitch and confound made her name legendary. The power of a supernova, Keisha the Starburst. And Zaylin the Serene. None could disturb her serenity, for very few challengers were remotely her equal in the tournament. It's obvious that the show was leaning very heavily on this lore to build the personalities of the Ice Warriors, definitely much more so than Gladiators ever did. Rather than simply being elite athletes in themed costumes, the Warriors were presented as characters first and competitors second, each with their own backstory, traits, and place within the show's icy mythology. While some of it could feel a little over the top at times, it was clearly an attempt to create a fully realized world around the competition, giving viewers someone to root for or against, and helping Ice Warriors stand apart from the other physical challenge shows of the era. So how did the show actually work? Well, as mentioned earlier, there were 9 episodes in this first and only series. Episodes 1 to 6 were the Heats, where 2 teams from cities across the UK competed against each other and the Warriors. Each team was made up of 4 men and 4 women, as well as a coach, some of whom took the show very seriously.
Skated straight across and didn't care about impeding our team. I want to complain, and I want to complain now.
The teams that competed were Nottingham Venom, Sheffield Forgers, Isle of Wight Sharks, Birmingham Blizzard, Manchester Marauders, Cardiff Dragons, Whitley Bay Hurricane, Slough Stampede, Guildford Growlers, Hull Huskies, Swindon Savages, and of course my favourite team from my hometown, Edinburgh Wolves. The teams would compete in 5 or 6 challenges set by the Ice Master from which they could earn credits, and the team with the most credits at the end would go through to the final challenge, Polar Pursuit, where they could win some cash prizes. After the 6 heats were completed, the 4 teams who had won the most cash on the final Polar Pursuit challenge in their heat would go through to the semi-finals to determine the 2 teams who would compete in the grand final at the end of the series. Some of the early episodes of the show also had an entertainment section after the 5th challenge, which was usually some kind of ice skating performance. Although this was later dropped, likely due to the fact that the show had its runtime decreased following its poor performance in the ratings. As for the challenges the contestants and warriors competed in, there were a total of 13 different events used across the show's run, some being played almost every episode and a few only being played once or twice. First, one of my favourite challenges, 0 Degrees. A giant propeller, dubbed the 0 Degrees machine, is placed in the middle of the ice plane and 2 warriors spin the propeller arms around as fast as possible. The contestant's job is to weave in and out of the black markers in the middle and the ice needles on the outside, avoiding the propeller, scoring 10 credits for each successful weave. 1 female and 1 male contender from each team would get a go at this, meaning a lot of credits could be won on this event. Some contestants were absolute masters at this, others not so much.
In for another 10, here we go. Oh, crikey, I've never seen that. Try and avoid the warriors is the best tactic, Kurt. If you go into them, you will not be scoring the credits.
Next is Avalanche Valley, a 4-lap relay race with the winning team on each lap scoring 25 credits. There are 2 races, one between the girls and one between the guys, and the difficult part is the ice warriors stationed on one side of the track holding on to giant icebergs, attempting to knock the contenders over. As you can imagine, there were a few very nasty looking falls during this challenge.
25 credits for Whitley as they take that lap. They're in the lead so far. About to hit the icebergs once again. Oh, yes, please, show me the action replay, love it.
This was the most common race event, but as you'll see, quite a few of the other events on the show were very similar to this. Stretch was a great idea for a game, a tug-of-war on ice. 2 contestants would be attached to each end of a bungee rope, and of course the aim is to pull the other across the winning line. Some contestants were wearing ice hockey skates, while others had figure skating skates with toe picks at the front, which definitely came in handy for digging their blades into the ice. A best of 3 between the 2 contestants would take place, with 50 credits awarded for winning each round.
First blood went to Matt. Gareth gets a great start here. Oh, I spoke too soon. A short, sharp shot for Gareth.
Glacial Assault is a relay race for the girls and a standard race for the boys. This time, 2 laps around the obstacle course where they have to race against an ice warrior while avoiding the icebergs, going under and over some beams, and weaving in and out of the ice picks through the center of the course, finishing with a ramp at the end. 100 credits to the winner and 50 credits to second place, but only if the ice warrior comes last. If the ice warrior won the race, it would only be 50 credits to the second place contender. And if the ice warrior came in second place, the winner would receive 100 credits and the losing contender nothing. As I said, we'll be seeing a lot of challenges that are basically just races, but this was another of the more common ones.
In third at the moment, it's Stephen Wynn, not by name, obviously, or nature at the moment. We come over the ramp for the last time. It's so close. Gary falls and Wax is still unbeaten.
Orbit was something a bit different. 4-a-side frisbee played in 2 halves where the object is to score as many goals as possible. There were actually 2 different versions of this game. One where the teams played separately against the Warriors, and one where the 2 teams faced off against each other. In the games against the Warriors, the teams would start with 100 credits, they would gain 25 credits for every goal they scored, and lose 25 credits for every goal the Warriors scored. When the teams played against each other, it's just 25 25 credits for each goal scored. In order to keep the game moving, when the Frisbee, or the Saturn as it's called, was passed to a teammate, once they're tagged by an opposing player, they must pass the Saturn to another teammate. If they don't, the opposing team gets a free shot at the goal. This was a little bit chaotic at times, but quite exciting to watch and definitely one of my favorite challenges from the show.
Going away from the goal now. As he skirts round, he's got some space. Yes, what a goal! Bill Brook, that's 25. The coach loves it.
Porcupine is a rather strange game. An ice vehicle called the Porcupine is driven around the ice and defended by two warriors. On the back of the vehicle is a basket, and it's up to the contenders to get as many Saturns as possible into the net, with each one earning them 25 credits. I have no idea why this is called Porcupine, as the vehicle looks nothing like one, but at least they were trying to come up with some different kinds of challenges that could be played on the ice.
Krell and Sherrick defending the Porcupine. How will Manchester do against Cardiff's 50 credits? Oh my goodness, immediate action, a Saturn in the back of the net. It's 25 credits to Manchester.
Another race event next with Chain Gang. 3 contestants from each team are chained together, as well as 3 warriors, and it's a simple 3-lap race around the track. The first across the line wins 100 credits and 50 credits for second place, unless the warriors win, in which case there are only 50 credits available for second place. Not a particularly great event that we only saw in 3 episodes.
Wow, great skating there. The Hurricane have stormed their way through. Can they keep? Yes, they can. They can keep Slough outside of them. The Warriors are trailing in third. Come on, Warriors. I thought you were going to be good at this game.
Another event with an unusual name is Flipper. Contestants have to grab one of the batons from the dispensers in the middle and plant it at the top of the pyramids at either end. 25 credits are awarded for each baton successfully planted in the pyramids. I was sitting trying to think of a better name for this challenge, as Flipper doesn't really make any sense, so I wonder what you all think would be a better name for this game. Let me know in the comments below.
You got to take them out before they score. That one doesn't count. That one does. Hey, come on. Hey, come on. Easy, boy.
A bit more racing again with the Arctic Chariot Race. This time, 2 contestants have to pull one of their fellow teammates around the course in a small chariot. 2 laps around the course, and you know how it works with the points by now. 100 for first, 50 for second, but only if the Warriors don't win. In my opinion, this was by far the worst game on the show. The chariots were just too heavy and everyone was constantly colliding with each other. It's no wonder it only appeared in 2 episodes.
100 credits for the win, 50 for second. So if the Warriors win, it's only 50 credits for the first squad to finish. As we go into quarter 1, it's not as easy as you think. One of the Sharks down and it's hard to get back up again. Come on, up we go.
This next game only appeared in 1 episode, but is billed as a test of strength and speed. The idea is to simply push the ice sled down the ramp, around the course, and crash through the ice wall. The Warriors go first to set a time to beat, and then each of our teams have a chance to try and beat that time. The only time this game was ever played, amazingly, both teams achieved the exact same time of 18.96 seconds, meaning they were both awarded 50 credits.
And the big impact on the final ice wall. Here they go. It spins and loses them time. 18.96. Can you believe it? It's a split.
There was another game called Scythe that only ever appeared in 1 episode, and for good reason. It's another 4-lap relay race, but this time the Warriors are armed with movable barriers that the contestants have to go under or over. I think because this challenge is basically the exact same as Avalanche Valley, it was dropped from the series after the first episode, and I have to admit that was a good decision. Avalanche Valley is by far the better challenge.
Warriors in hand. Sheffield really speeding up. The times that this mistake can be made. Under they go cleanly. Oh, I spoke too soon. Boom! Into the icebergs we go.
The only other game to have appeared in only 1 episode was Boulder Ball. There are 4 team members on each side, and the teams have to maneuver a huge ball around the ice and across the scoreline. Frankly speaking, this is one of the most random games the show put on, and it's no wonder it was only played once. It's absolutely terrible. Its only appearance in episode 2 saw just 1 goal scored by the Isle of Wight against Birmingham.
And please, will one of you teams score some credits?
Red ball into play.
Red ball into play. Need to keep that ball up and move it down the field. That's the best way for boulder ball.
And finally, we have Polar Pursuit, the final challenge on every episode. This was only played by the team who had the highest score from all the previous events. All 4 men and women from the team would compete, the women in the first round and the men in the second, and the contenders have to chase the warriors who have flags on their back. The object is to grab the flags from the warriors and plant them in the middle to earn money. In the heats, each flag was worth £250, meaning across 2 races with 4 contenders and 4 warriors each, there was a total of £2,000 up for grabs. In the semi-finals, this was increased to £500 per flag, and for the grand finals, it was £1,000 per flag. Definitely not the most exciting end to the show, and I can't help but feel that this show really needed a huge climax like the Eliminator in Gladiators. My idea would have been to have the Ice Master himself take part in the final challenge, a little bit like how Count Takeshi would take part in the final storm on the castle. Taken as a whole, the challenges on Ice Warriors perfectly reflected both the ambition and the limitations of the show. There was a clear effort to make full use of the ice as a playing surface, even if that often resulted in multiple variations of the same basic race format. When the games worked, they were chaotic, physical, and actually quite entertaining. But when they didn't work, the cracks in the format became more apparent, with some challenges feeling confusing or simply not suited to the environment. Much like the show as a whole, Ice Warriors was packed with ideas, not all of them successful, but its willingness to experiment is part of what makes it such a fascinating and memorable oddity of late 90s British television. Now that we've learned all about the show's format, cast, and challenges, let's take a quick look through the series as a whole, briefly recapping the initial heats and semi-finals before taking a closer look at the grand final. Across the 6 heats, there were victories for Nottingham Venom, Birmingham Blizzard, Cardiff Dragons, Whitley Bay Hurricane, Hull Huskies, and Swindon Savages, with particularly close battles being fought between the Isle of Wight Sharks and Birmingham Blizzard, and Swindon Savages and Edinburgh Wolves, with only 5 credits separating them by the end of the challenges. The standout team from the heats was definitely Hull, who were able to rack up an impressive 745 credits over the 6 challenges they competed in. Unfortunately for Cardiff and Swindon, although they won their heats, their cash totals from Polar Pursuit weren't enough to secure places in the semi-finals. Semi-final 1 saw Birmingham Blizzard go up against the Hull Huskies, and for some reason only 4 challenges were played on this episode: 0 Degrees, Glacial Assault, Avalanche Valley, and Orbit. This was a very back and forth contest, with Hull taking the early lead on 0 Degrees and maintaining that lead after Glacial Assault. Birmingham were able to snatch the lead away from them in Avalanche Valley, taking a 70 credit lead into the final challenge, but Hull proved their strength by playing an excellent game of Orbit to take the victory by just 5 credits and book their place in the grand final. Hull were also able to bank another £3,000 from Polar Pursuit.
In the name of Rannoch, the god of victory, let us acclaim the city of Hull!
In semi-final 2, we had Whitley Bay Hurricane go up against Nottingham Venom in a similarly close battle across 6 challenges. We started out with Porcupine, where Whitley Bay were able to take the early lead, a lead they maintained through the next 2 challenges, Stretch and Glacial Assault, before Nottingham were able to tie the tournament at 250 credits each after Orbit. With the scores still tied after Avalanche Valley, it all came down to the final event, 0 Degrees, and Nottingham were able to win just 10 more credits than Whitley Bay, taking the tournament after trailing for most of it. That meant that the grand final the following week would be between Nottingham Venom and the Hull Huskies. Let's now take a closer look through this final episode of the show. Our grand final starts out with Flipper, and in the women's event we have Shannon from Hull versus Alice from Nottingham, and the warriors they have to face are Taraz the Renegade and Marax the Vixen. It appears that Marax injures her leg on this event as she seemed to slow down towards the end, and when the 60 seconds were up, Nottingham walk away with 125 credits and Hull score 50. The men's event afterwards was a much more physical affair as Steve from Hull and Duncan from Nottingham went up against against Dragar the Merciless and Thorgon the Beast, and the score from this round came out exactly the same as the first, 125 credits for Nottingham and 50 for Hull. Dragar and Thorgon think they did alright though.
Dragar, Thorgon, you gave them a run for their money today. What is the secret of Flipper?
The speed of the beast and the power of the merciless one is no match for the contenders.
He's telling you.
So after one challenge, Nottingham take a solid lead, 250 credits to 100. Challenge 2 is Avalanche Valley, and in the men's event, the boys go up against Karlach the Drifter, Morka the Fireblade, Sharak the Avenger, and Krell the Tormentor. This was a great race, definitely one of the best runs of this challenge in the series.
Into the icebergs we go. Oh my goodness! Guy was airborne, so Nottingham need to play catch-up. Warriors playing a really tough game here. And Stephen Wynn brings it home. What a top game that was.
Hull pick up 75 credits and Nottingham 25 as we head into the first commercial break. When we return, it's time for stretch, and we have Vicky from Hull against Stella from Nottingham. And it's clear that Vicky must have been practicing this event, as she is able to expertly take both rounds and a huge 100 credits for Hull.
Vicky already got her toes stuck in the ground. Stella having problems. Oh, she's over. Eat that ice, baby.
Award the city of Hull 100 credits.
This means that after 3 challenges, it's all square at 275 credits each. Next up is 0 Degrees, a chance for either team to pick up some big points. The men's event sees Norman from Hull first take on Karlach and Krell. Norman was actually the record holder for this challenge, having previously won 140 credits on this event. Despite an interruption halfway through to fix one of the inner black markers that had become loose, Norman was able to score an impressive 110 credits. But Nigel from Nottingham goes next and puts in an even better performance, scoring 120 credits and putting his team 10 credits in the lead going into the final challenge, Orbit.
I award the city of Nottingham 120 credits.
No wonder Gary was happy. The boy done well.
This event will decide it all, and I'm pleased they went with this, as it's one of the best challenges on the show, at least when you have 2 teams that know what they're doing. Here in the grand final, the teams won't be playing against each other and will instead go up against the Warriors individually. Steve, Norman, Steve and Phil for Hull take to the ice first, and they're up against Rax, Krell, Dragar and Morka. This can be a tough challenge when you're up against the Ice Warriors, and things definitely got a little heated in the second half.
So it's still 100 credits. Got a rough and tumble going on down there. Coming up you get... It's a tough game out there. Oh, the police siren goes again.
But Hull put in a decent performance, denying the Ice Warriors any goals. Unfortunately, they also didn't score any goals of their own, meaning they are only awarded their 100 starting credits. Nottingham's turn next, and they got a goal in the first half in a very tense affair, and another goal disallowed in the second half as the player had already been tagged.
They'll want to be scoring the goals. You cannot rest on your laurels. Every time you're touching us past that Saturn. Oh yes, it's a goal. Gary is going to be absolutely ballistic. Let's check that replay. Great pass, and he touched after he threw it. That one stands.
From there, they were able to play a good defensive game to run the clock down and eventually emerge as the winners of the final tournament.
High fives round for all the team, and the great thing is once that buzzer goes, the battle ends. Warriors and competitors all as one, and that's how it should be.
Hull are sent away with consolation trophies, and if one of those ever goes up on eBay, you can bet I'll be putting in a bid for it. But it's not all over yet. Nottingham Venom still have to take on the Warriors in Polar Pursuit for a chance to win our grand prize, a 2-week skiing holiday to Colorado. The rules are the same as before, except now there are 7 red flags, each worth £1,000, and the golden flag. Grab this and the team will win the holiday. Danny reveals that if the team grabs the golden flag, however, then the red flags become invalid, so they won't win any money, which I thought was a little bit harsh. The girls chase the warriors first and are able to grab 2 flags for a potential £2,000 in prize money, and then it's the men's turn to chase the warriors, where Simon, who had previously caught Rax the Destroyer on Polar Pursuit, was able to speed his way around past the rest of the warriors to catch Rax once again and grab the golden flag on the very last lap.
You've got millions of people around the UK urging you, skate faster, my boy, come on! Every last drop of energy, you can do it! They want you to get that gold flag! Yes!
An incredible performance, and Nottingham Venom win the holiday to Colorado. Nottingham receive a pretty cool looking trophy to commemorate their efforts on the show, and with that, this first and only series of Ice Warriors comes to an end.
Well, there you have it. Nottingham are champions of the tournament. Hope you've enjoyed this series, because I certainly have. Make sure you join us again when the Ice Master calls for his next tournament. Until then, good night.
Despite its dramatic presentation and unique premise, Ice Warriors struggled to warm the hearts of critics and viewers, despite actually winning a Bronze Rose in the Light Entertainment category at the 1998 Rose D'Or Festival. The show started out with decent ratings, reportedly attracting over 7.5 million viewers in its first episode, but figures fell rapidly thereafter to only 2 million viewers, which back then was a serious flop. Through conversations with past contestants, it's my understanding that a second series of Ice Warriors was actually planned, but due to the aforementioned ratings, this never materialized, and the show only lasted for this one series of 9 episodes before quietly disappearing from the airwaves, and over time has slipped into obscurity altogether, a long forgotten moment in British television history. I believe that the show was repeated on Challenge TV at some point shortly thereafter, but other than that, there have been no official releases or reruns, leading Ice Warriors to eventually become one of ITV's most elusive pieces of lost media. When it comes to my overall thoughts on Ice Warriors, I actually quite enjoy it, even if objectively it isn't especially good. Part of that enjoyment is undoubtedly nostalgia. The 1990s were a great era for British television, and Ice Warriors feels very much of its time. It sits comfortably alongside shows like Gladiators, Fort Boyard, and The Crystal Maze, ambitious, slightly chaotic, full of character, all things these shows had in abundance. There is also a personal element to it. I used to skate when I was younger, and I've always been a fan of ice hockey, supporting my hometown team, the Edinburgh Capitals, so the icy setting of Ice Warriors naturally appeals to me. All of that combines to make Ice Warriors, for me at least, an easy, enjoyable watch, even if it never quite lived up to its own bold premise. It's fairly obvious where the show went wrong. Basing a physical game show entirely on the ice immediately limited the kinds of challenges the producers could create, which explains why so many of the events ended up being variations of races or chases. A handful of games such as Orbit, Stretch, and 0 Degrees did help to break up that pattern and were arguably among the stronger ideas, but even these failed to leave much of a lasting impression. Perhaps if the show leaned a little more into the fantasy post-apocalyptic side of things by staging some challenges away from the ice altogether, Ice Warriors could have opened up far more creative possibilities and given both the competitors and the warriors more to do. Others might argue that the fantasy side of things was a bit much and that the show would have been stronger if it leaned more into the ice-based challenges. Whatever your opinions of the show, there's no denying that it remains an intriguing snapshot of 90s television ambition. Ice Warriors may not have been a runaway hit, but it perfectly captured the fearless creativity and over-the-top charm of 90s TV. A show that dared to be different and, if only for that alone, deserves a place in British television history. Many thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this retrospective look back at Ice Warriors. It truly has been one of the most difficult classic game shows to find, and keep your eyes peeled online as the episodes will be available to watch somewhere soon. Also, I'd love to hear about your memories of this show, so please leave your comments down below. This is the last video of 2025, so I hope you all have a fantastic Christmas and New Year, and I'll see you again in the next video in 2026.